Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm the Survival Architect, you can call me Liv, and in today's video we will be taking a look at this year's Minecraft Live mob vote. For those who don't know, every new Minecraft update introduces a new mob to the game that is decided by the community through a mob vote at Minecraft Live each year. This year, the vote is between three mobs: the Glare, the Allay, and the Copper Golem. We're going to be taking a look at all three mobs and what we know about them so far, and I'll be weighing in with my opinions on each of them. The first mob announced was the Glare, which is being shown on screen now. It's a mob designed to show where mobs can spawn in dark areas, and is described as a mob that loathes darkness, and shows why mobs can spawn by flying bravely into the darkness and throwing a tantrum. Essentially, it's designed to seek out dark spaces in your world and then let the player know where they are. Now, my thoughts on this, personally, I don't really like this mob that much compared to the other two. In the current version of the game, it could be pretty useful because mobs can spawn in light levels of 7 or lower. But in 1.18 and above, mobs will be able to spawn in light levels of 0 and only 0. So if the light level is 1, then mobs can't spawn, or hostile mobs can't spawn, like zombies. Now, this kind of makes everything really obvious about where mobs will spawn. You know, if there's no more light, the mobs aren't going to spawn. If the light reaches to that point, then mobs will not spawn. And that makes the Glare kind of obsolete in 1.18 and later, because it becomes very easy to find where mob spawning areas are in 1.18 and onwards. The next mob announced was the Allay. Now, this is a mob that looks very similar to the Vex, and it's designed to be attracted and commanded by note blocks, which I think is a really cool feature. Kind of controlling something through note blocks and some sort of external block is something that's never been done in Minecraft before, and I think it's a really cool idea. It's also designed to bring items to the player. Essentially what you do, this is being shown on screen now, you give an item to the Allay, such as the cookie, and then the Allay goes out and finds more cookies and brings them back to you. But the thing is, it's been clarified that this is not an item duplicator. It goes out and it looks for like the entity item on the ground. So like, say you chucked out a cookie onto the ground, you give the Allay a different cookie and it comes back with two. The one you gave it and the one that you threw on the ground. So it's not an item duplicator. So obviously, when I first heard of the mob, I was like, "Oh, cool! This is a new way of kind of duplicating items and farming things like sand, which previously were a massive grind to get." But as I said, it's not an item duplicator, so that use isn't really possible. It could be a really cool way of collecting items from the ground. So like a farm. Your sorting system for it could be using the Allay, or just picking up the items could be using the Allay. But yeah, I think that some really cool contraptions could be made using that. But on the other hand, not having it as an item duplicator kind of removes it from a farming perspective, if that makes any sense. So that means that it's going to have to be implemented well for it to be kind of a part of the game. Now, the other thing is with how this looks, it looks like the Vex, but it doesn't. Like, it's a flying mob that's only a block tall, but yeah, I'm not sure 100% how it would function, and I think that it's not really a safe bet. Like, it might just change Minecraft in the way that we don't want it to. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense, but it might just change the game to an extent that makes it seem modded. Like, if you look at the rendering for it, it looks very not Minecrafty, which is something that I don't like saying, but it is kind of true in this context. So yeah, it would have to be implemented fairly carefully to make it a well-balanced and thoughtful introduction to the game. Now, in my opinion, a safer bet for this would be the Copper Golem. It looks like a copper block that's been carved into a shape of a player, and then someone screwed a lightning rod into its head, which I think looks really cool. It looks like a really nice mob that could be introduced into the game, and would serve as a new addition to the Iron Golem and Snow Golem, which have been in the game for a really long time, and have not really had anything added to them. Like, it's just been the Iron Golem, the Snow Golem, and that's about it. So It apparently likes to press copper buttons, which would also be implemented if this mob was introduced into the game. It's also apparently constructed by the player and slowly oxidizes over time until it's stiff and cannot move. Now, when the golem is oxidized, I'd actually like to see it become an oxidized block. And rather than have it as, an entity that stays where it is when it fully oxidizes, maybe the player could like pick it up and move it around. Or maybe that if it stays as an entity, then the player can just like nudge it around like they can with villagers and it just won't move. Which would be a really cool way of adding like a mob that doesn't pathfind, although it would be incredibly laggy as well, which is if you have a lot of them. Now, for a redstone perspective, this could also be used as like a randomizer. Obviously, it's going to press a random button. Or a random copper button, I should say. So it could be used as an excellent randomizer for some sort of system to determine outputs for players in a multiplayer server, which, I love multiplayer servers and kind of different things or different numbers of things that can be put out. It's a really cool idea. I also think that it's a bit of a safer bet than the Allay, and it could have a lot of really cool features added to it that will make it a really worthy addition to the game. Personally, I think I'll be voting for this one, for the simple reason that it seems like something that I can already think of uses for, rather than just like a new way of sorting items. It could be there's not really many ways to randomize things. There's not many mobs that change over time. It's a really cool idea, and I really want to see it added to the game. The other thing I think about it is that it should be able to be waxed like normal copper. So, it could be a permanent thing in your base, walking around, pressing buttons, etc. Or if you leave it unwaxed, then it should oxidize over time. So, those are my thoughts on the Copper Golem. Well, those are my thoughts on the mob vote. A pretty short video today. I think the Mojang developers actually done a really, really good job in coming up with innovative and fun new ideas. And these ideas would add some pretty cool new features to the game. I think they've done an excellent job in coming up with those things over the years, and this is no different. Now, I will be back after the new mob is announced, after Minecraft Live, to kind of weigh in on it, provide my full thoughts on the new mob. But yeah, this has been a bit of fun to just talk about kind of what I think about the new mobs and how they should be implemented into the game. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be the next mob vote update thing. Have a good one.